Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, and as you've seen by the title, we are using the Reps of Universe 7 category in 2024. Now that isn't necessarily a crazy thing to do considering how good the category is, but it's going to be a bit more of a chilled video where we just use a team for the fun of it. Literally for the fun of it. This category came out during the year 6 anniversary, 3 years ago? And in 2024, it's taken its place once again as being one of the best categories in the game. And I don't think I've shouted the category's praise enough. Sarcastic, yes I have. It is back to being one of the strongest categories in the game. TechLR doing his thing, which is dodge. There's that 70% right there. Glad they actually did that because they do seal on super attack, which is really jarring. But back when the year 6 anniversary dropped, this is one of the best categories in the game. The year 6 units, LR, AJL, UI, Goku, LRSB, they controlled the game. Unfortunately, my boy dropped off a hell of a lot and was found out to be an absolute fraud. And I'll never forgive Dokkan for what they did. But I'm also lying because I have forgiven Dokkan for what they did because they've made him one of the best easy A's in the entire game. Like, he's that good now. Dokkan, just never disrespect my boy like that ever again in your life. Please. But over the last 2 years, Reps have only got 2 new units. Like 2 new releases, 2 new Dokkan Fests in the TOP androids, who funnily enough have been pushed off their own category in tournament participants, but don't even make it onto Reps or Universe Survival Saga. I mean, if you want a bit of an extra buff and support, sure, but you're missing out on a heavy hitter if you do that, depending on who you drop. Unless you don't have them, then fair enough. But as I was saying, you know, they're pushed off their own category. Then the next one being, and he definitely ain't pushed off, he has a spot reserved. And even if you're late, even if you miss your reservation time, tough, that table's still reserved for him, and that is of course TechLR UI. So in the last 2 years, maybe not even 2 years, like year and a half, Reps has had 2 new releases. 2 new releases. And it's back to being the best category in the game. Now, it's not mainly because of those 2 new releases. However, LRUI Goku is a massive, massive buff to the team. It's mainly because of the easy A's. Over the last couple years, mainly during the 9th anniversary, so the last month anyway for Global, because of the easy A's, Reps of Universe 7 has become one of the best categories in the game 3 years later, once again. That is because we have units like both the year 6 easy A's who are ridiculously good. Whoever you prefer, whoever you think is better, AJL UI, SSBE, it's entirely up to you. Like, I wouldn't be mad if you said UI. I definitely wouldn't be mad if you said SSBE because it's Jeets. You know, I wouldn't argue a case. By all means, if you prefer Goku because he dodges, cool. If you prefer Vegeta because he has a bit more safety and security with the damage reduction he can build up, then eventually like the first turn guard, and then the guard for when he revives. It doesn't matter. Do you know, I wouldn't be mad either way which unit you preferred over the other, depending on who you liked. It's entirely up to you. There's a case for both. They're still 2 of the best easy A's in the game. Easy A Blue Boys are ridiculously good. Sure, defensively they might be not as good as some other units in the game and other units on this team. But the UI, do you want to dodge? Of course he wants to dodge. Silly question. Blue Boys do a ton of damage because they super attack about 4 or 5 times in one turn, and if you get them enough key spheres, especially rainbow key spheres, they're hitting crits every so often. They then have that fat amount of damage reduction, the 70% if you do go down to like what, 40% HP or below, 30% HP or below, which is a one-turn thing, but still is there if you need it. They're ridiculously good. They work well with TechLR UI. They work really well with Easy A UI and SSBE. Then we have 2 of the newest Reps of Universe 7 Easy A's in the Universe 7 unit and also Golden Freezer in 17. The Universe 7 unit's probably one of the strongest supports in the game behind probably Broly, Chilai, and Lemo. Just because Broly and Chilai and Lemo can support so many more units depending on what orbs you pick up. Whereas, of course, these guys are mainly for reps and reps alone, which I'm completely fine with because you're buffing one of the strongest teams in the game. You know, UI Goku and SSBU were doing like 17, 18 million attack stats, 20 mil with Tech LR UI's domain. Don't even get me started on that. One of the best domains in the entire game, if not the best domain in the entire game. But you're already buffing some big units. Sure, the Universe 7 unit only get extra crit chance, only get extra damage reduction if you are surrounded by other reps units, which, by the way, you only need 5. You only need 5. Which is really not difficult to do, which means you can actually sneak Beast Gohan on the team. You can either bring a friend, or if you have him, bring your own, and then bring a friend Tech LR UI if you do have one yourself. So you can actually sneak a Beast Gohan on the team, which you're definitely not going to complain about. How much damage is this going to do? I'm actually not entirely sure how much damage it's going to do to them specifically. 424. Don't get me wrong, quite a lot of damage, but they survived. And we're even pulling out some dodge as well, because why not? Just a stunt on Gogeta a bit. We even got AGL UI Goku's revive ready. Which I'm not going to lie, I might try and force myself to get, because then AGL UI is just going to come back better. And why would we not want that? So I'm going to hold off on using Tech LR UI's domain just for a little bit. See, that's kind of why I put AGL UI in slot 1, because he doesn't have damage reduction or guard or anything like Tech LR UI. So I thought maybe if he gets hit, maybe we could die. It didn't happen. I don't really mind. There's still a chance we could die with Golden Frieza in 17. Because I kind of want UI Goku to revive. Because then also SSBE gets buffed because a revival happens. Which is another thing that helps out the reps team, is they both have revivals. And they don't need to be the one to die to trigger it. One of them just needs to do it. A unit needs to revive, and they're winning. But it didn't happen, it's fine. So we're definitely going to pop the domain the next time we come around. But then that's one of the strongest supports in the game. Because they support and they buff one of the strongest categories in the game. And sure, their passive is built and tied around having other reps unit. As I said, you can sneak a Beast Gohan onto the team. It's fine. You could still sneak one of the strongest units in the whole game onto the same team with them, if you really wanted to. But even if you don't have him, even if you want to run a full reps team, it doesn't matter that their whole passive is literally mainly by running with other reps units, because they're some of the best units in the whole game. So it ends up working out anyway. And then speaking of this man's domain, as I said, it's one of the strongest domains in the entire game. We're going to pop that as well, because why not? They also have damage reduction right now by 70%. But yeah, they're some of the best units in the whole game. Again, Tech LR UI, the Year 6 EZAs, Blue Boys, MVP 17 to an extent. He's kind of getting pushed off a bit now, but to an extent, he can still roll. He can still slide. As I said, Blue Boys. Then you have EZA Golden Frieza in 17. Like, it's very easy to fill your team up full of reps units. So even though their passive is heavily reliant on having reps units, it's not a problem because the team's that good. Then you have this man with guaranteed dodge on his first appearance after he transforms. While his domain's up, so all the superclass units are getting supported. While Realm of Gods units having an extra 15% on attack as well. While this man has guaranteed counters attached to him dodging as well. Which, don't forget, does 3 times more damage than what appears on the actual number when he does counter. Then there's crit countering. And of course, he can carry on countering enemies anyway. So he ends up doing a ton of combined damage in one turn. And who doesn't want to dodge one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game? Whether that's Beast, whether that eventually is Goku and Frieza in the Universe Survival Saga Supreme Magnificent Battle. Counter them, or dodge them, take no damage, and counter them right back. And do even more damage to them. And then he has one of the strongest abilities attached to, I think, any domain in the game. And not only does he buff units like this, like Jeets, to do pretty much a 30 million attack stat, but then you have the guaranteed hit ability on enemies. And then UI Goku comes in and goes, fuck all of that, and tells them no. Because then he disables it, and you can dodge again. So Not only does he help himself, he then helps units like AGL-UI, whose entire kit is built on dodging. So he went from being useless and could probably get slapped up next to nothing to he can dodge again and then build up almost guaranteed dodge every time he dodges because he builds up dodge chance. It's stupid how good TechLR-UI's domain is. Oh, you're doing an AoE, that's fine. I mean, I have UI Goku's domain ready to go, which I kind of want to happen because then the team just gets stronger. I have 2 dodge units on the team who have a ton of dodge chance. I mean, he still took 325 on that. But guess what? We're still not dead. Gogeta Blue is actually one of the hardest hitting enemies in the whole game, which is why I put this category here. Without taking them into, say, Beast, who I want to do individual videos on these units on. But Gogeta Blue is still one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game right now. He actually is, funny enough. He's like the second hardest. Is he going to dodge it? Is he going to dodge? He just dodges it straight up like, nah. That's fine. I actually wanted you to do that because now we have a revival. And guess what? UI Goku and SSBE only get stronger. This pain will make me stronger. Literally. Like, Reps just has everything. Back in the day, you were rocking, yeah, the 2 Year 6 units. But then you were using free-to-play units. Let's not forget that. And they were solid for the time. You're using the Krillin and 18, Tien and Roshi, LR free-to-play Roshi, who's pretty good. But it ain't got shit on the 2024 version. It hasn't got nothing on this one. Let's pop my boy Jeets' active skill. Don't forget, guaranteed crit on this and guaranteed crit on all attacks afterwards. And just for a bit of spice. Just for a bit extra. He loses his clothes and he buffs out his chest and you can see Jeets' nipples. Like, who doesn't want to see that? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy how much of a revival this category has got within the last 2 years and only had 2 new releases. It's mainly come back because of all of the easy A's. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't think Golden Frieza and 17 have actually built up too much. I'll be completely real. I don't think they've built up all too much, and there's a group attack in slot 2. So I think it's probably a safe bet if I decide to put them in slot 2 instead of slot 3. I don't really want to use an item, but there we go. There's the dodge and counter. I don't really want to use an item, so I don't think we need to. But I think purely because I've floated them 2 off for the most part, they haven't really built up all that much. Even though their damage reduction is highly dependent on them super attacking multiple times, which of course they can do because they have a ton of additionals in their passive. Also, just look how much damage this team does, especially with UI Goku's domain active where they're doing even more. We've already seen SSBE do a 29.9 million attack stat. UI would have done probably just over 30 linked up with TechLR-UI. And that's another thing. Not only is all the superclass units being buffed by this, which Reps is literally filled with superclass units, it's a given. But then the majority of them are Realm of Gods units. Only 2 units on this team aren't a Realm of Gods units. Other than that, everyone else is getting the additional 15% Realm of Gods buff that UI Goku's domain gives out. Look at these guys popping. These guys are 55%, my ad. Mine are only 55%, and they're still popping off. Look how many additionals they're doing. That's that 100% on the 12 key. They are putting in work right now. And again, they're 55%. Double digits. I just said to you a minute ago, they've barely built up. And there's the counter. You think your AoE's hitting me? Nah, forget all about that. UI Goku's just going to dodge it and counter it. 32.9 we're up to now. He's not even that well linked because we moved him away from UI and he's still doing 32 million attack stacks again because of UI Goku's domain. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Seeing SSBE Vegeta's KO screen to end this video off. That is representatives of Universe 7 in 2024. One of the best categories in the game. No questions asked. That was a lot of fun to do. Gogeta Blue still one of the strongest enemies currently in the game, even with the new Supreme Magnificent Battle stages being added. But it's crazy how good this category is in 2024. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great rest of your day, and peace.